today's episode of PJ and the Beard, we're going to take a look at a pedal from one of our favorite pedal manufacturers. I know we say that a lot, but this is one there is a pretty good, deep personal relationship being forged with him. We're looking at the Burn Unit by Barber Electronics. But before we go further, and Beard tells you about unpacking everything that David tried to explain about this pedal, I'm asking you if you would subscribe, hit the notification bell so you know what we're up to. You can follow along, and the more engagement we get from you, the more we get to engage wonderful people like David Barber.
Right.
So right before we fired up the camera,
we did talk to him, but I'm going to say right off the bat, Dave has, and Barber Electronics has some real diehard fans. I mean, I've been one of them too since for 20 years almost. Mm-hmm. And so I'm going to say, if you're just here for the Dave, you know, if you're the big Barber fan and you just want to hear the pedal, timestamps down below. We normally don't say that out loud. We're going to say it out loud. We know how you feel. Right. And Dave and I will laugh about the fact that I put that in the video probably. So for those of you that want the story, though, where did the Burn Unit come from? You know, stick around. Don't go to the timestamps. We called him right before we did this. And the question I kind of had is like, okay, how do I tell somebody what this is? Because first of all, if you don't know, one of the things about Dave and his pedals, like the direct drive and the gain changer and the tone pump and the Burn Unit, he's not taking like a tube screamer, tweaking the circuit, repackaging it, and putting it out as his pedal. These are pretty unique circuits to Dave. And so what is this? And so the story goes like, look, the condensed story. We're going to condense it. Maybe we'll have him on the show sometime to tell maybe a live stream. Yeah. To tell the story. But the story goes like this. Like 30 years ago, David has a Dumble amp in his studio, belonged to a friend. It was there, we say 9 months to a year. Right. He was listening to this amp, played it a lot, was starting to wonder. There was a theory floating around that gooped part of the Dumble amp is a tube screamer, just gooped inside. Right. I don't know that he believed that, but he got thinking, you know, could I kind of recreate this with the circuit? Starts building a circuit to see if he can kind of recreate that sound. Never had intention of making that circuit into a pedal. That circuit was going to be maybe something in one of his amps because he was more of an amp guy back then. Did a lot of amp repairs, building amps, that kind of stuff. Fast forward. That's like 1993.
Or is that
like 93? Okay. Somewhere between then and like 1998, I think the Burn Unit comes in. There's a whole lineage here with this tone pump and, you know, some other pedals. We're going to kind of fast forward. We get this. I said 98 somewhere before that because I think he said like 98. There hasn't been a lot of major changes to the circuit since 98, with the exception of maybe some knobs became switches, stuff like that. Now, if you look at what David Barber has made, he's not happy to just give you like, here's this one thing. Right. So this pedal really, I want you to like kind of think three things. You know, you have like your kind of tweed amp. Right. You have your kind of high-powered black-faced amp. Maybe I should say high-powered, but black-faced amp. And then you have that kind of Dumble thing. And I think he said, like, when he was doing this, nobody knows what a Dumble is. Like, if I put a pedal out that's like a Dumble pedal, nobody's going to know what that is. Nobody's played through, you know, unless you're like Robin Ford or something. You've never, Steve Ray Vaughan, you've never played through a Dumble. You don't know what it sounds like. Nobody's going to be interested. So he tried to work that circuit to be able to do the tweed, the blackface, and the Dumble thing. Lo and behold, years later, you can buy we have a pedal back there that's called a Dumble. Right. DMBL. Right. So, you know, maybe talking too much, but that's kind of the story. Right. What did I miss? I mean, there's a lot.
Well, there's things about it. Like when he had the Dumble in there, was able to look at it, he realized that unless you're playing it at like club volumes or higher, it was an uninspiring sound, believe it or not, for a Dumble. And he realized the master gain and some things that were going on there. And he wanted to get that sound into the pedal without getting kicked off a stage somewhere. So I think that's the part I would add to the Dumble story of this.
And he talked about, like, you know, one of the guitar players that uses his stuff touring over in Europe, they always give him like these super nice big twin amps, but the guys used to using a small tweed amp and can't get a sound. So like now with some of the circuitry in here, can get that tweed sound out of a big amp. And so why not? Who's this for? That kind of Dumble sound that Blackface Fender Edge of Breakup, you know, Fender sound. If you want, so you can go to like kind of maybe not so much headroom to more headroom with it. That Dumble sound. Like if you like the Zen Drive, can you get, like I actually took our Zen Drive over to his house when I picked this up, and he was kind of, because he had customers asking, can I get a Zen Drive kind of sound out of it? So he's A-B'ing him. He goes, yeah, you can get a Zen Drive kind of sound. So that, if you want a really, I guess, if you want a really, really super versatile pedal that lives somewhere between overdrive and distortion, can kind of ride the line between, he talked about that, ride the line between both. Here it is. All right, so we've talked too much. Let's get into the pedal. We thought, instead of just twisting knobs and trying to show you all the sounds,
because there's so many combinations. You got a 3-way toggle, a 3-way toggle, 3 knobs, and a bunch of information about what they do. But we've often said, if someone's going to take the time to give us like some presets or some ideas, we're going to do it. So that's how we're approaching this pedal.
Right.
And so we followed along with the suggested settings for ones. And I might have you maybe read. I think I went first, and I did the Edge of Breakup. And I think we played that through the Fender. So we were trying to decide going between the Tyler and the Fender. And I played that through the Fender for the Edge of Breakup.
Yeah, the Edge of Breakup Blackface. This is great with single coils or humbuckers. Let's just hear it.
Yeah.
So looking down through the choices, we basically just split these up, right?
Right.
I was like, okay, clean boost sounds cool. Grab a PRS, because kind of my go-to. Turn pedal off, hit it. Clean boost setting, hit it. That sounds great. What's it sound like with a single coil? So I actually did 2 guitars, did the Strat and the PRS in this one to see what that sounded like. It sounds like this.
All right, so that was the clean boost, and I love players like Larry Carlton and things like that. So when I saw they had 70s Studio Cat as one of the settings, I'm pointing over here, it might not be on camera, but I went up and grabbed the Beard's 335 off of the wall. And the way it's suggested with this is you flip it to the bridge pickup, but you take the tone all the way back to like 3. So you take all that shrillness off of there. And there was quite a bit of drive. Like it was a little maybe gainier than maybe some of the Carlton stuff, but it was a great sound. So good that we did it twice. So at the end of this video, there's an outro jam, and the Beard, we revisited that because he was sitting in the captain's chair over there. I was like, that sounds really good. So,
right, the 335, the sound.
Right. So this is what the not Larry Carlton 70s Studio Cat sounded like.
next one of the suggesting settings is the medium power tweed. And I have this like thing for a tweed amp, and I don't even know tweed amp pedal. And I didn't even know David made something that did the tweed thing.
Right.
So when I saw that, I was like, all right, I'm doing that one. And I'm going to play some Neil Youngish kind of chord progression. And the thing that I like, and I talked to Dave a little bit about this one when I was down at his house picking the pedal up, he wasn't going for that, like, some of the tweed pedals have that, like, super, like,
they're
kind
gonna
of
choke out.
Yeah.
The amp is screaming for mercy.
Right. He wanted to have more of, like, I don't want to say the cleaner tweed.
Like a little more refined, like not quite as much flubbiness, you said, maybe a little tighter.
And so, here it is.
All right, so coming out of that, moving on, there's a setting called Fat Singles, and it suggested single coil, fat singles, and I was trying to figure out what to play through the neck position, beat it some rhythmic chords like Stevie Ray Vaughan, but not even close. But I just want to see what that sounded like when you got this clean fat singles. This is what I did.
So that was the fat singles with sustain. And because of the amount of jokes that happened about that name in between these two segments, I'm not even going to tell you the name of the last setting that I did. You'll have to go to David Barber's website, pull up the owner's manual and look it up for yourself, and then crack all kinds of jokes to yourself, like the immature teenage boy that you are.
Hashtag know your viewers.
So... I almost can't even go on. In this setting, PRS, I'm just noodling, but what I was really trying to do, and hopefully you can hear it, is like play some notes, move the volume knob around, move the pickup selector around, and just try some different things. Because one of the things with Dave pedals is they really react with the way that you play, how hard you hit the strings, how you move the volume knob, how you move the pickups. And that's what I did on this one, whose name will remain anonymous.
But you moved over to the Tyler, right? For this one?
This is the only one that was done on the
Show the Tyler some love in this particular video.
Right. Here we go. right, so that's the sample settings that Dave gave us, and we kind of like doing that more than trying to like muddle our way through it.
Right.
There's so many potential things there, even with. We just get nervous with a Barber pedal because we know the people that play them.
Yeah.
Know them really well.
Yes.
And so it's hard for us to show you everything that it could do, but hopefully that gives you an idea. 2 toggle switches, 3 knobs. You got the volume, tone, and burn, and you can run it on 18 or 9 or 18 volts.
The other thing David mentioned to us is inside there's an internal trim pot that you can add a little bit more low end. A big discussion around single coil versus humbucker versus an amp with more headroom versus amp with a little bit less headroom. He left a little bit of wiggle room there to put a little bit more low end if your amp and the mix that you're playing with can handle it.
Or take some out.
Right. So, again, flexibility inside the pedal as well. Said it's pretty easy to turn with a screwdriver or a pick.
And so the one thing that we did notice, and it's worth saying, as with all the Barber pedals that we've had, your pick attack, the way you play, all that stuff really, those nuances really work.
Right.
And then this thing, Tweed, Blackface, Fender, Dumble-esque. You know, I mean, Dave's not going to say, I put a Dumble in a box. Right. But Dumble-esque. Isn't that a t-shirt? Dumble-esque? Yeah.
It's my current size of shirt as well.
So, if you're looking for that kind of overdrive, distortion, very versatile, a lot of different things, we recommend the Burn Unit. Check it out. Yeah. Anything to add?
No, it's another wonderful offering from David Barber, and we're so grateful for his insight and conversations, and I'm not going to find someone more passionate about what he does than David.
Yeah. So, if you want a circuit that has like 30 years behind it, from a guy who's a legend in the industry, check out the Burn Unit. And with that, we always take a minute just to say thanks for watching. Hit the subscribe button, click the notification bell. Anytime you interact with the show, it really helps us out. Check out the website down below. A lot of the series and stuff that we've been working on, you can watch all those episodes there. And if we have things up for sale, you can find them there as well. And I think with that,
I'm PJ on behalf of the Beard, reminding you, no matter what you hear, you never have too much gear.
So that was the fat singles with Stack.
I knew it was coming.